Hey ballers, welcome to If These Balls Could Talk with a trio up to lots of hijinks like Harry, Hermione, and Ron. It's up to you to figure out who's who. Anyway, this is Mark along with John and Pete. And as a kind reminder, if you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. Or as Pete likes to say, tickle the bell. Tonight we welcome to the podcast Pete Valdeon. Good evening, Evil Pete.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stop laughing when you say tickle that bell. I can't.
Tickle
it's
that
funny.
bell. I gotta do the little.
You gotta do the
too.
little finger motion.
I know. I gotta.
Gross. I want an adult.
Peter,
Anyway, how's everyone been? John, let's start with you.
Can I be Hermione? That's weird. I shouldn't say that.
Hermione. Why would
You was.
Okay.
Who's Ron? Who's Ron?
Well, Pete's Ron. He's got the hair.
Pete's obviously Ron. I guess that makes me Harry then.
Do
huh?
I?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's you know.
You're a wizard, Hattie.
You're a wizard.
True.
It's been a weird day, guys. It's been a weird day.
John, how you been?
It's a
I had a good
giant
weekend.
sun,
Pete and I spent an ungodly amount of money on our friend Colin's bachelor party. He's in Vegas right now getting married. Congratulations, Colin.
Yay!
But we had fun. We shot guns and we ate steaks and we smoked cigars like real men.
Yeah, I love how the night gradually went from like we're literally shooting guns and going to dive bars and gradually worked our way up the rungs of society to like at the end blowing hundreds of dollars in dinner and then being in like this fancy cigar lounge being like, yes, I'm glad the war has gone well now, see?
So much money. It was good though. We should take you. Mark, you can take us. You got
I'm
all
confused.
the jobs.
I'm confused though. So you went for the bachelor party and then left before the wedding?
No,
wedding's
we
in
weren't
Las
in
Vegas.
Vegas for that. This was all in good old Saratoga.
This was on Saturday. And he left yesterday. He left yesterday.
I see now. Well, yeah, I was confused because at one time you did mention that the bachelor party was going to be in Vegas, so I think that's
Yes,
why
one time I did
thought-
mention we were going, but then I was poor and I didn't. Also, Colin decided to, in his good graces, to give me a dispensation for going, which was very nice of him because I couldn't afford it.
All right.
How are you, Mark?
You know, I'm always busy, don't sleep anymore. I got in the real estate gig, I got this one deal that I'm trying to close, and it's just crunch time, and so just trying to get through. It's just a lot of times in the real estate world, all you got to do is just you're jumping over hurdles. You got to get over this hurdle, you got to clear that hurdle. Some hurdles a little higher than others, but you know,
Is it a good hurdle?
it's the final hurdle.
Final hurdle.
Exactly. And then this weekend, my brokerage is putting on a masquerade ball that benefits Operation Stand Down Rhode Island. It's an organization that helps veterans.
Nice.
So it's a good cause and should be a lot of fun. It's a black tie event.
Wow.
I know. Got to get to play all dressy dress and be all grown up.
Dressy dress. You gonna wear you gonna look badass again?
Oh, obviously.
Mark cleans up nice.
I does.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, how are we doing? And why don't you give us an update on
Baby watch.
Oh, that was good timing that time.
Wow.
Sometimes yours lag a little
It's
bit.
like perfect.
Yeah, it was good.
So we are in the home stretch now. Basically,
home stretch?
Any episode from now until the baby
Could happen anytime,
could be the last
right?
episode that I'm on.
Could
until
happen
I'm on hiatus.
anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're it's definitely close. What is she now? Like going on 39 weeks. So it's like right at the end.
I did
but
appreciate
everything's good
the
still so far. So
I did appreciate the Halloween costume as the Kool-Aid Man.
yeah, she was.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
She won Halloween.
Steph put on a shirt where basically it was a red shirt with the Kool-Aid Man face right on her belly, and then a brick wall busted on either side of it. And,
Of her
and a speech
she had a sweater.
Yep,
Yeah.
and a sweater and a speech bubble. The speech bubble on the wall that said, "Oh yeah," coming from the Kool-Aid Man.
yeah.
I
It's
explained
amazing.
the Kool-Aid Man to Jamie because obviously she didn't know who he was.
Well, she didn't
she was like,
grow
"Oh,
up with
that's
that."
funny." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
That's funny.
Yeah.
I always like that Family Guy episode where someone like goes through the Kool-Aid Man's wall and he's like, "Oh, I see how that can be annoying."
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Alright.
Also, work has been crazy.
Yeah.
It's crunch time for me too. Just trying to get as much done as I can before I'm not there for a couple weeks.
Straight up. I mean, it's important. It's important to get all your projects in order. Anytime you leave for a long time.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's get to know our guests a little better, shall we? Now, as it's been a minute since we've hung out, Mr. Pete, we wanted to take a moment to congratulate you on your recent promotion. Now, you work in a little-known field of car auctions. Now, please tell us a little bit more about what your company does and why you enjoy working in the field.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. So I work for a company called Cox Automotive, and they are the largest auto remarketing company in the world. There's approximately 40,000 employees within the company.
Wow.
And yeah, it's quite a bit. Spans all across the world, Europe, Australia. And we thank you. We specialize in reconditioning the vehicles and offering them for sale to dealers only. So you do have to have a dealer's license in order to participate. There are no open sales to the public, but it's almost like a super large eBay almost for dealers. The division that I'm specifically involved in is a mobile-based division where people are buying and selling cars on a mobile app.
On a mobile app?
That's cool.
Yep.
It's very futuristic.
So
there's an app for it.
It is. Yep. Yeah, it's taking place of all the old tire kickers that would go out to the auction, and kind of
literally tire kickers.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know about this one.
It's gotten hard since COVID, so the technology has had to kind of pick up and kind of make up for that. A lot of car dealers nowadays are wearing multiple hats, so they don't get the opportunity to go out on sale day and check out vehicles. They have to log on to the computer, or look at their phone, and check out vehicles. So we really kind of go through everything soup to nuts to make sure it's a good vehicle.
What's the coolest car you've seen now that you work in cars?
I'll be honest with you, because I've been doing this for so many years. I'm kind of desensitized to some of these vehicles. Where like before, I was like, "Oh wow, check that out! It's a McLaren." Now for me, it's like, "Oh,
Let's
now you're like,
talk
oh, it's a
about the
McLaren.
You're like,
that was a really
not
simple,
another
humble
McLaren.
brag.
Right.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
This is only the $1 million limited edition, not the $2 million super limited edition.
Well, and that's the thing is like, you see so many of these cars, and it's just like, oh, all right, well, that's cool.
All right, better question. Not that you've seen. Best car you've driven in. Most expensive car you've driven in. There it is.
Okay.
That's the one.
It was definitely a G-Wagon. It was probably just a couple weeks ago. It was a brand new G-Wagon. It was probably like 250,000.
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Here we go.
There's been a couple close ones. Lamborghini Huracan.
Ooh.
That was just a couple weeks ago.
Damn.
I would say definitely no more than like 250, 260.
That's it.
That's
Pocket
it.
change.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I make that every minute.
More than my house.
Man. That
Danny
is
Dimes
cool.
just made that in this episode.
So
You're not even fucking playing and he's making that money.
a quick addendum
know.
to the thing about how COVID really changed the face of the way you guys do your auctions and do deals and just do all of it. Do you find now that the world is finally returning to normal 3 years later that things are starting to go back to how they were, or are they still going to incorporate and use this new technology and new methods pretty much here from
That's
here
an awesome
on?
question. Yeah, so I don't think there's ever really any going back to the way it was. I think it's just more or less going to be the new normal. There are some semblance of returning to what things used to be, but it'll never go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see that just by following like Carvana stock price. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we thought, everybody thought they were going to be bankrupt at $3 a share. And now they're somewhere in the 40s or 50s.
It was down to
man,
$3 a share. Wow.
Damn, I wish I would
$3
have.
a share. Yeah, they thought it was going to drop as low as $1, and then all of a sudden it jumped up to like 57.
I mean, when my parents bought their car before this car, they had to pay for the right to buy a car. I mean, the car market was bananas for a
Oh, it
little
was
while.
crazy.
Yeah.
And now my dealer,
it's
my
forced
local dealer,
everybody
is
to
begging
change.
me for my cars back. They want them back so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I mean it's forcing people to evolve. One of the things is direct to consumer. So a lot of people are just buying their cars online. They're not even going to the stores. They're just go on to BMW or Ford or whatever and just build their vehicles right there and have it shipped in 8 weeks.
Damn.
And
I like to think Tesla had a part to play in that too, just the way that they do their more direct to consumer thing.
100%,
So
100%.
leaving dealerships to
Between
try to
that
play catch
and
up.
the fact that, yeah, and they're using massive rebates and huge price cuts, they certainly know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want the whole world to get nimble. Like, in business, we just talk about, becoming more agile, and the idea of like being able to do your life that way is appealing, right? Buy your car,
Yeah.
pay your mortgage, sell your house. Like, I remember, because we're old, right, you guys? I remember
We're old.
when I talked about phones, like cell phones. Like, everybody would have a device that started their car and paid their bills and opened their house. And now, I mean, we do, right? Like, we have that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And the idea of that 10 years ago was really foreign. 10 years ago, 20 years ago was really foreign.
Oh, yeah. It didn't exist 20 years ago. And I mean, even 10 years ago, it was just starting to pick up. All right. Well, I would love to talk about cars and cool stuff all day, but we got to move on. So, it's been a year.
Turn that timer off.
It's been a year since you got a major adulting achievement unlocked and moved into your brand new house that you had built from scratch. I'm a little bit sentimental towards that too, as my dad designed and built the house that I pretty much grew up in when we built it while I was like 2.5 to 3 from scratch as well. And it was just super cool to have something that you made or you had designed or, you had a say in. So there's something to be said about that, starting from scratch, having something that's entirely yours. Can you tell us about the decision to buy new, as well as the things folks should watch out for when doing it? Any pitfalls that you found or challenges? And what's the best part about your new house?
Sure. Awesome. Yeah, so it wasn't really, I mean, we kind of like joked about it, but it was never something that we ever took serious about, like actually building our own home. We accidentally kind of just sort of fell into it. And the reason for it was the home that we had lived in for 11 years, which was great, was turning 50, and things were getting older and things needed to be replaced. And with the way the market was, thanks COVID, prices, I mean, Mark can tell you, prices are just absolutely out of control. People were getting stupid money for everything. And we were looking at, 45, 50-year-old homes that needed brand new roofs that were going for 50,000
Insane.
less than what it cost us to build our own home. So
Wow.
for another 50, 60 grand, we just built our own home. What I would say, the cool thing about it being a build is that from beginning to end, everything that you do is yours. But it's a very slippery slope when you start to kind of have that kind of freedom. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want marble this and I want quartz that. and I
Yeah.
want
It adds
oak
up.
It
this,
adds
and
up
I want-
fast. It adds up fast.
For sure, for sure. And all of a sudden you're looking at the base price of the home and then you're like, oh, I just added an extra 100 grand. Cool.
Yeah.
There goes the kids' college program.
Right.
They weren't going to
but
go to
it was-
college anyway.
That's fine. That's what trade school's for.
State school.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, go be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
They go for
Um,
free in New York. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cuomo.
Oh no, but so it was really cool. It was a really great experience. I would say my favorite part of the house is, I don't know, probably my office. It's kind of like an office slash bonus room. I've got like my TV on the wall so I can watch the games while I'm, doing some work. I can got my Xbox and PlayStation.
Sitting on a
so
sweet
it's
Yeah.
podcast.
absolutely.
Hey
the
now.
coolest podcast. Oh. Would I ever do it again? Probably not.
Well, let's hope that with the brand new construction and everything that you only have to do it once. So
Lots of
Now,
plan,
did,
right?
did you guys start with a model house and then you kind of customize it from there, or did you literally start from scratch?
that's what I was going to ask.
No, and that's a fantastic question. For the
I'm
most
in the
part,
biz.
The biz.
yeah. So they called it a spec home, but the only thing that was spec about it was the layout of the room. So I couldn't
Okay.
say, oh geez, I want a hot tub in this room. It was already specced out in terms of like how many
You could have.
rooms
It would have
were-
cost another 50 grand.
Yeah.
I know.
Everyone's
I know.
got a price.
I'm already hemorrhaging. But no, we got to do almost everything on our own. Like it was originally specced out for I think a 7-foot basement, so we did a 9-foot basement instead.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
But that was the
cool.
only thing that they allowed us to change from spec. We couldn't make any modifications to like the size or where the rooms were, but we
Okay.
did the carpeting, the floors, the cabinets,
Yeah, the materials
countertops,
themselves. Yeah.
everything. Everything was customized.
The higher
Super
basement,
cool,
was,
man.
yeah, that's going to pay back in spades, I bet. Like, because now you have so
Oh,
much
big
more,
time. Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
more customizing.
Well, are you
there.
guys gonna ultimately finish your basement? You think, or is it finished already?
Eventually, yeah. Eventually, I wanted to wait and see how the water table kind of worked out.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Because it is that new construction, the ground is still sort of settling.
Yep.
We don't have like a real firm idea as to like where that water table kind of sits. It seems to be doing okay. My sump pump, the first winter kicked on a bunch, but again, that ground was kind of agitated,
Mhm.
and we're not really just there yet. But the whole summer, it never kicked on at all, which is nice.
Really?
That's
Oh,
good.
that's
Yeah,
really
you're
good.
as a general rule of thumb, you're supposed to wait at least a year to finish the basement.
Yeah, big time. One of our neighbors that we have, they're a little bit lower of elevation, and they had flooding several times.
Oh,
They
I can
actually
imagine.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
and they had to take their basement down to studs at one point.
Oh shit.
Yikes.
And
Water ruins everything.
Water
Big time.
does ruin everything, but also
We
it
also-
gives life.
Yeah, we also kind of need it. Damn it, water, be
It's
more
not our
convenient.
Stop being so complicated, water.
Yeah.
And now for something completely different. Like I said in the intro, Pete and I recently attended our buddy Colin's bachelor party. So this is now the 5th bachelor party that I've planned. Thought it would be fitting to talk about the first one I helped plan many moons ago, yours.
That's right.
So what was your favorite part? Why did I think it was a good idea to wear fluorescent orange to paintball? And what were some memorable bachelor parties that you've attended since then?
That's you,
for you.
Pete.
That's you, Pete. That's you. This is
Me?
still the interview
Yeah.
section of the podcast.
oh wow, I just assumed the two different Pete's did paintball.
No,
No,
we didn't do paintball
No,
on mine.
but I only wore fluorescent orange once, and that was yours.
That's a
I
mistake.
call
You only make
bullshit.
one.
I don't
so
first,
paintball.
believe
first and last time, John.
No, I played
I
paintball
call
before that.
bullshit.
I don't know.
I
I just picked a fucking shirt out, and I was just like, this will be fine. This shirt's kind of shitty.
And then everybody was like, shoot
don't
the
know.
glowing orange guy.
Pretty much.
So I don't really remember a whole lot of that because we started drinking pretty early.
Hmm.
But
That is true.
As
I
one
would say you
does.
probably wore the fluorescent orange because you didn't want people to see the paint on your shirt.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
there you go.
But
Yeah, what did we do? We did
no,
paintball, and then I found this bar that had beer taps at the tables. I thought that was fucking cool.
Oh, tools.
that
That
was
sounds
awesome.
dangerous.
It was
Yeah,
awesome.
and that it was awesome.
Is that place still there?
I think so.
No,
right?
they literally just
Oh.
closed. Literally this year.
I did drive by an O'Toole's though recently, and I was like, "Oh, I remember that place."
Nice. And I forgot where we went to dinner, but then we went to Saratoga. Saratoga was a big part, and we went
Yep.
to Saratoga.
yeah, we went to Barn Cider over.
We went to Barn Cider, right? Because you guys
down
fucking
in,
love Barn
by
Cider.
yeah.
Road. Yeah, that
That's
was
a
really awesome.
That's a Valdeon Wilson tradition. Barn
is.
Cider, straight up. I knew things about stuff, and maybe some. I mean, even you guys too. Some cool bachelor party things you've done, stuff you can talk about, not stuff you can't.
Well, I mean, there was the epic one, the multi-bar extravaganza in
Multi-bar.
Buffalo that
Yeah, that was yours.
John and my
So,
cousin
two bachelor-
Tim. Shout out to Tim for helping put that all together with John there. That you guys, yeah, that was a pretty magical day on a bus and then going nuts. Oof. It was like 6 or 7
I remember running
bars.
into the random bachelorette party.
Oh
right?
yeah, that was amazing. Yes, it was like bar
That
number
was
4 or
amazing.
5 though, so
and,
we were all
and,
feeling
and,
pretty good.
and
by
one
that
of
point.
one of the things that they were doing a scavenger hunt, and I guess one of the things is they had to kiss a bald man. So
Yep.
I know a bald
That's
man.
right, yeah.
who got to cash in on that one?
I remember that.
Hell yeah. You're like,
It wasn't Ed.
I will take one for the team.
That was a crazy night.
It's really
That was a
it's
good
really
night.
Kind.
That
It's
was a
really
good
kind
night.
of you, Mark.
Do you remember the
Wasn't
random,
it? I took one for the team on that
Yeah.
one.
Do you remember we had to stop the party bus at I don't know, some random ass dingy liquor store because my cousin had a hunch Bobby that there would be this Jeremiah Weed whiskey there. And sure enough, there was. It was like dusty on the shelf. And he's like, this is the greatest whiskey ever. He's like, stop the bus. So we like waiting for him to buy this bottle of Jeremiah Weed whiskey that it's like flavored whiskey. And we were just drinking that the whole way to bar
Not a
number one.
sponsor.
Not a
by the way.
sponsor. I don't even know. They
And it
still
sounds
exist.
terrible.
It was pretty good.
Was
actually.
it any good?
Yeah, it was good. But although it's one of those like
Did we all have that? I don't remember having that, but
it's like a flavored scotch, right? So it's really sweet. So it's kind of more
it's
like a dessert.
I thought it was a
drink.
bourbon.
Maybe it was a bourbon. I thought it was a scotch.
I think Jeremiah's Weed is a bourbon.
We'll have to look it up. All I know is that it
We
was
have to discuss.
it was like whiskey.
to
Research
candy or
department.
bourbon candy.
It's a bourbon. And
Okay.
they have a sarsaparilla whiskey. Oh God.
Yeah, there's some weird
Sarsaparilla?
flavors, but
Whoa.
for some reason that sticks out. That and me
I gotta
saving
tell you,
him
Pete,
from getting
sounds
beat up.
pretty terrible.
It was okay, but then again, we were also between bar number 1 and 2. That's right. We had already drank at Hamburg Brewery at that point. So
I have a
memory
question
could
for
be
the three
fuzzy.
for the three married men on this this
three amigos?
podcast.
Okay.
The three
Olé!
amigos.
Oh.
Now, if and when you ever decide to renew your vows, do you guys get to have like another like stag party or anything like that before
Absolutely.
That's a good
Absolutely.
question. I think
Totally
that?
counts.
So what would we do at this party?
Same thing as last
Ooh,
time. Just
bachelor parties are very personal.
Paintball again, Pete?
absolutely. Yeah.
No orange
So,
shirt
So
this time.
this
Joe.
past weekend,
P20
we
again.
went to a actual gun range. It's the first time I ever shot a weapon, and
Ooh, what kind of gun
Expensive,
was it? Do you remember?
but surprisingly fun. I shot a 9mm AR-15. Pete, like a man, shot a 12-gauge shotgun.
right off the bat.
Oh, that's yeah.
Launched
like
shot
a man does.
15 slugs on that sucker.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
That's
like
fun.
very safe, very professionally run. Like a really
It was a really
solid,
good
God, I
range,
hope
yeah.
so.
Oh yeah.
God, I hope
really
so.
solid upscale place. I felt like super, super, super comfortable. I was like, this man knows everything.
That was way more control than the time that I had shot guns into a mountain in Alaska in the middle of nowhere.
You think?
Slightly. Although we did have an ex-military dude there that was coaching us then, so that was a big help. But
The guy who you went to see who was marrying a friend.
yes, that guy. It's pretty awesome.
Nice.
That was
Hey,
a lot
Amy,
of fun.
congratulations.
Yeah. See, the 12 gauge to me was not that big a deal because shooting the shotgun in Alaska, it was loaded with bear slugs. And not just for fun. It was because you literally have to have a shotgun on you at all times with bear slugs because bears.
Because bears.
bears.
Yeah, like we were ATVing around a
Bears.
glacier lake, and he's like, "Oh yeah, don't forget the shotgun." He has it strapped to the back of his ATV. He's like, "Bears." I was like, "Oh shit, where are we going?"
Alaska's weird, you guys.
It's very weird, but amazing. I highly recommend visiting someday.
All right. I think it's
All right.
time, Mark.
All right, everyone,
Yes.
shall we kick off this shindig?
Hell
Yeah.
Who's gonna...
First topic.
Woo!
That was it.
I
right
think
there.
that counts.
Of course it does.
All right. So the NFL trade deadline was this past Tuesday, and there were some big moves, including the Washington Commanders unloading Chase Young to the 49ers, Montez Sweat, or as John calls him,
Sweat Montez.
to the Bears.
Yes.
We also saw Joshua Dobbs moving from the Cardinals to the Vikings for some unknown reason. We might
need
talk
a
about this.
quarterback.
We might talk about this more a little bit later.
Ah.
And much to John's demise, Leonard Williams moving from the East to the West Coast after getting acquired by the Seahawks from the Giants.
Sorry, John.
And of course, we
Time
must
to
talk
start
about.
over.
And of course, we must talk about that team that Donald Trump once put in $1 million bid on. The Bills acquired cornerback Rasul Douglas from the Packers.
That's your preamble to get into the Bills.
I just learned that. Maybe I relearned that.
That was the
Because I
weirdest.
relearned.
That was the weirdest time in Bills history. Just a real quick aside. So the bids were between the Pagulas, who ultimately won the team by the highest bid and liquidated cash to do it, of $1.4 billion, which now the team's probably worth like $5 billion. But the other competitors were, as Mark said, Donald Trump, which had he bought the team, would he have ended up being president? We don't know. And the other competitor, John Bon Jovi, who totally
John
had to
Bovi.
write, who totally wrote a letter from Toronto promising that he would not immediately move the team to Toronto. And everyone in Buffalo said, bullshit. And basically now Bon Jovi
Was he living on a prayer?
Yes, he was, because he lost. And Bon Jovi is now banned in all of Buffalo.
He was halfway there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So, everyone, who won the NFL trade deadline?
I mean,
Any thoughts?
the 49ers are just the rich team.
The
that gets rich
49ers,
shares.
man.
I mean,
Chase
come on.
Young.
Chase Young's
Just-
incredible.
And Nick
Hold on
Bosa.
for a second, though.
Yeah.
The 49ers just lost to the Broncos.
That's
so
why they-
maybe.
Yes, because that's why they needed Chase Young.
Yeah. I mean, their offense is also limping
They picked
a
up
little bit.
Randy Gregory from the Broncos, too.
Once-
Like, their front seven is an all-star team right now.
oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was
that
already
is
an
true.
all-star
It's-
team.
It's ridiculous. Well, the Chase Young pickup is very, very strong.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Washington liquidated. I'm not surprised that the Giants liquidated, but I'm surprised that Washington did.
I'm a little bit like Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I mean, you can build a team around that.
That's the two
But-
biggest pieces of their defense. But
But the Commanders didn't. That's the thing.
yeah.
They
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
build
they
a team
failed
around them.
to do enough.
I think all 4 defensive linemen were first-round draft picks, and they haven't been able to do anything with them, so they're trying to rebuild, right?
Yeah.
Leonard Williams made me sad. Leonard Williams is one of the Giants that people really liked, and I think that in general the team was a little sad. But also, at the end of the day, when you suck, you have to start rebuilding with something. And he was definitely draft capital. I mean, they got a lot for him.
He was probably one of the most
said
valuable.
crapital.
I did.
He
You
was
said
probably one of the most
capital. You're
valuable
crap.
Giants assets.
Yeah, probably.
I
And
think.
so he seemed sad,
Yeah.
but Joe Schoen doesn't give a shit about anybody, so he's just like, "Fuck off, buddy."
Pete, what do you think?
I
Evil
mean-
Pete.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean I'm in agreement. I mean,
The rich got richer with the 49ers, right?
yeah, I mean, come on. The whole team is like you said. It's an all-star team.
Hmm. Well, just the front 7 is. Their secondary is still a little suspect, but
Yeah, but still, like if it wasn't for Christian McCaffrey, I wouldn't be doing as good as I am right now.
I gotta love that fantasy, right?
There's the emotional investment part of it, right?
That's right.
Some other not so well-known moves. Donovan Peoples-Jones got traded from the Browns to the Lions.
I
I
just
mean, that's
saw
a pretty
that.
interesting move.
Does
I mean, the
Detroit-
Lions are in a hunt. The Lions are also in a hunt.
oh, they're
right
hungry.
The
now.
Lions
They're very
are
hungry.
the Lions.
The
a lot
Lions
of
are going to win
people
the
are
NFC
saying-
North for
Yep.
sure.
A lot of
And
people are thinking they're the Super Bowl favorite.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I would say Super Bowl contender. They look.
I gotta
strong
tell you, I'll
already.
always bet on the Sun God.
I'm on St. Ra. Or,
Yes.
yeah,
I'm on
what's
Ross
his name?
St. Brown.
I'm on Ross
He's-
St. Brown.
No.
He's a St. Brown brother, and he has a better name than his brother.
Are all of the wide receivers
Equiminius.
that were suspended for gambling at the start of the season back on the Lions, or are some still
Yes. Well,
suspended?
the ones that were I mean, Jameson Williams was the number one, but yeah, the ones that were suspended for 6 games initially got it changed to 2 games. So Jameson Williams is back, but hasn't really done much.
Okay. I mean,
For whatever reason, the Falcons, they think they're still in it too. At 4-4. I mean,
that's-
I guess they could win the NFC South, but they
it's
made
not the strongest division, so they've got
No.
a shot.
They made a couple trades. One, they got a defensive lineman in Contavious Street from the Eagles of all teams.
Interesting.
And they also traded for Van Jefferson from the Rams.
Ooh, I don't even have that on my sheet here.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, you don't have my sheet.
I know.
You can't touch my sheet.
Oh wait, obviously the winner of this is the Kansas City Chiefs, who gave away Mecole Hardman and then got him back.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's
They
like,
traded for
hey,
him.
you know what? We're sorry we lost you. Can you come back?
It's just the weirdest NFL season.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
And
there's so much crazy shit happening.
Well, there's
so
no-
many people
there's-
are hurt.
There's really no, like everyone thought the 49ers were going to be the team to beat, the ultimate favorite. And now, yeah, they've lost 3 in a row. So they look vulnerable. So there's really no like team that's like an upper echelon team right now. But we're at that halfway point.
yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'd argue the Eagles still kind of fit that bill right now, but
That defense is suspect.
I know, and yeah, they can bleed. We've seen it. So they've won a lot of close ones, right?
I don't
Patriots
see.
almost took him out earlier in the season.
What's actually really interesting, I think, is that now that Joe Burrow has played his preseason, the first 4 games of the season, The Bengals are real again.
Yeah,
because
Joe
Joe Burrow's
has now played-
healthy.
Just in
Joe
time.
Joe
Burrow's
Burrow has now played his
healthy.
preseason, and they look sharp.
Yeah, just in time to play the
Um,
Bills.
Why are they such slow starters, though? The Bengals. They are slow
they are.
starters, and they are consistently slow starters.
Why
knows?
does it matter how you start when it matters how you finish?
That's right.
That's what she said.
Well, luckily the Bills have Rasul Douglas to stabilize what's been a reeling secondary for them, and mainly because they're not just down one starting corner in Tre'Davious White. Really, they're down 2 from where they thought they would be at this point because number 1 pick last year for them, Kyer Elam, just has not panned out. He's not been good, and he's been a healthy scratch most games, and now he's on IR. So that was a disaster. So they are in bad need of a corner. The only other starting corner that's not injured right now is basically an undrafted or 7th round pick somewhere in there, Christian Benford, who's worked out great, but Rasul Douglas from Green Bay is a great addition that was badly needed. The second that Trey White went out for the season with an Achilles tear.
He sounds like a Batman villain. Also, we're out of time.
Douglas. Yes.
Out of time. The time is over.
Yes.
Was that like almost a next topic, Pete? I think we should get in. I think we should delve into that a little.
Yes. Can the League of Shadows introduce the next topic?
Oh, the League of Shadows. Yeah.
Go for it, Pete. You got this.
Do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's talk about
You weren't listening, Pete. You are not listening.
You just have
League
to.
of Shadows.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my topic. You just say next topic in a funny voice if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's more introducing that we're transitioning to the next topic.
Do you have any celebrity impersonations, Pete?
I really don't. So
That's all right.
all that beautiful.
That's okay.
footage.
How about is Megan around? Your what? That's his wife. Can you do an impersonation of Megan?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Next
We want her to
topic.
list.
Oh,
Yes.
John, you said you talked over it. Pete, do it again.
Next topic.
Awesome. That's amazing. Hi, Megan. I hope you listen to this. and,
Hi,
we're just having
Megan.
fun.
All right. So, because we brought it
Amazing.
up, before his ACL injury this past week, Kirk Cousins completed 35 of 45 passes for 378 yards in Week 7 and led his Justin Jefferson-less Vikings past the now seemingly human 49ers the week before. It was a good win for them, and at least for the moment, changed the national conversation around Kirk Cousins. Probably one of the best mid-level journeyman quarterbacks. Cousins said in an interview after that win that even when he wins, he's his own worst critic and hates to see plays not go his way. But now the conversation has changed. Cousins this past week had a season-ending ACL injury, as well as being without Justin Jefferson and relying on Joshua Dobbs. Apparently, can the Vikings bounce back even a little? And also, why was Cousins even on quarterback? Was everyone else busy?
Oh, the show. Well, I mean, he made a pretty good case for it this year with how well he's performed.
I mean, he's still a halfway decent quarterback. He's an above average quarterback. I mean, Jordan Addison has been the number 2, and he stepped up for the most part.
I've really liked him so far this season.
Yeah, he's on a couple of my fantasy teams, and he's scored a touchdown in I think like 5 straight games, which is pretty amazing.
I mean, that's the reason they beat the 49ers. Addison was
that long play
in that game.
I won. So for the listeners, I won the first 3 games of the fantasy season, and I haven't won since. And it makes me really sad because I thought my team was.
This is the world's tiniest violin, John.
You shut your face. Shut your stupid face.
Yeah,
and then I put my team back together through great personal injury, and guys like Pete score 158 points and make me cry in my cereal, and I hate it.
Pete's. Oh, he's gonna have the big violin for this.
Oh, Pete's got the big violin.
It's a big violin. I was like, you know what? I hate fantasy football. Straight up.
Who had Kirk Cousins in our league, actually?
Lisa did, but she wasn't starting him. She had Patrick Mahomes.
Damn, that was a stacked.
That's a pretty good quarterback lineup there. So Kirk Cousins is essentially playing for next year, or he was anyway, because more than likely the Vikings were not going to re-sign him, especially to a giant deal that he got with the Vikings before. I mean, they want to sign Justin Jefferson, and more than likely the Vikings probably want to pair him up with a rookie quarterback like the some of the other like elite teams have done with really
have
good
they won too many
receivers.
games already to be in the Caleb Williams lottery though?
Oh, they're out of the
yeah, they're out of the Caleb Williams.
He's going
lottery,
number 1 no matter what.
You could still draft a pretty good quarterback. I mean, it's this next year's draft class for quarterbacks should be a pretty good one. But so we'll see. But you got to keep Justin Jefferson is by far their number 1 that they have to keep happy, right?
I mean, is Drake May even close to Caleb Williams though? Drake May being the quarterback for North Carolina?
Potentially. Some people are saying that he could.
I mean, he's going to go number 2 or number 3 for sure, but he's probably the second best quarterback in the draft, right?
Hey, you never know. I mean,
we'll see.
Even the big draft in 2018 with Allen, Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I mean, yeah, some of those didn't, like Darnold sadly didn't pan out. I really like that guy. Mason Rudolph even went in the second, but hey, Lamar Jackson went in the final pick of round 1, and look at him. Mm-hmm. He's, easily like one of the best QBs from that draft class. I mean,
but you can find your franchise quarterback in the later rounds
too. I mean, league period.
Brock Purdy, remember, was Mr. Relevant. Yep. Tom Brady was in the 6th round.
Nathan Peterman was in the 5th round. Oh, wait a second.
The last 3 weeks, Brock Purdy is doing less and less to convince me that he's just good because Christian McCaffrey's great.
Maybe
that's true. I mean, the Niners could probably have anyone be. We've said this before. I think we could quarterback the Niners. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think so.
But keep in mind, Deebo Samuel is out too. Deebo Samuel is out too.
Yeah.
And they haven't had their left tackle. Like I mean, Trent Williams, best tackle in all of football, has been out for the past 2 games. So
yeah,
that doesn't help too. When you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Who do you all think? Maybe start with P. Like, do you think the Vikings are going to move on from Cousins now? Is this kind of seal that or cement that next year? What do you think? If you were the Vikings GM, what would your plan be? Knowing that team, that's
I gotta
good.
See.
They're not a bad team.
What is it? So
Cousins is gone.
He got hurt in week 2 or week 3. Jefferson, and Jefferson won't come back till at least 6, if not 8. He'll probably come back.
Well, this is week 9, so
this is week 9.
8 weeks.
No, he got hurt in 3, so 4 to 6 from that. I mean,
he's eligible to come back now, but he's still out.
Most of the way through the season,
I'm predicting
unfortunately.
that Kirk Cousins is going to play for the Jets next year.
The Jets. Oh man,
they're going to move on from Aaron Rodgers already.
So you really think
Aaron Rodgers is going to win the Super Bowl for the Jets still.
Aaron Rodgers will play next year. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers will play next year.
Actually, can we pivot to that? I'm more interested in that. Sorry,
he put his leg
Kirk
together
Cousins.
with the souls of deer and angels. I mean, like, it was crazy. He was crazy, weird science. I hate Aaron Rodgers. Jesus Christ.
Do we see him taking a snap in the regular season this year? Post
and Rodgers? No.
He's gonna try.
He claims he can.
He's a maniac.
No. There's no reason. The Jets are not going to be in playoff contention. There's no reason. He was
literally taking throws this week because he's a madman.
That's fucking great. What, are the Jets like the 10th seed?
Yeah, it is one thing to do that in shorts. It's another.
I mean, they're still above the Patriots, but.
And the Giants.
Womp womp.
And on that,
but I mean, Kirk Cousins is definitely playing for his next contract with another team, though. That's for sure.
He's not playing because his he doesn't have a knee right now. So.
I like Pete's Jets idea. That would be an interesting bet, actually.
I'll put money on it.
Put $20 down on that and see what happens, whatever the odds are.
Wait, what are you saying, Pete?
Mark's like, I love gambling.
Yeah,
I'll gamble.
Taking Pete's bet for
you know who I think it's gonna be the Raiders.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The Raiders are gonna.
Oh, they're blowing.
The Raiders have started the path to greatness. They fired what's his face.
Yep.
I mean,
Josh McDaniels is gone.
I mean that could be like a whole discussion for tonight. Just that the shit
I know,
show
that's one of my favorite topics to talk about, right? Head coaching changes, and I didn't bring that up. Spoiler for maybe next week.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Next week.
There's time.
Anyway, who's got a next topic?
Next topic.
So in late breaking news, but only because most people didn't know it was actually happening, the World Series just finished with the Texas Rangers defeating the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-1, including winning the last 3 in Phoenix.
Wow.
Now, there were some pretty good stories for those that do follow baseball, including Bruce Bochy winning a World Series title for his 3rd different team, which has never been done. The baseball godlike play of MVP Corey Seager and the emergence of El Bombi Adolis Garcia. Excuse me. Now, if this is the first time you've heard these stories, that is not surprising, as the World Series averaged 9.1 million viewers, which is the lowest since 2020. In fact, Game 3 was the lowest ever recorded viewership in World Series history.
That's pretty rough.
Now, while this might be a sign of the times as TV viewership is down in general, these ratings still dwarf Sunday Night Football and its pregame coverages, Monday Night Football, and 60 Minutes.
Oh, boo.
Damn.
Boo.
So, everyone, with the disappointing TV ratings of the World Series, what should MLB change to get more people to watch?
They just need to take away the stupid, the 3-game play-in. That's so stupid. I mean, the fact of it is that nobody cares about bad teams, and bad teams made it to the World Series. And not only that, it was a bad World Series because the Diamondbacks were outmatched, clearly outmatched by far.
I mean,
they were playing a better
fully
team,
swept,
and
right?
They ran out of gas. I think that's what it was. They just ran out of gas.
I mean, they got smacked around. 4-1 is
They got smacked around.
4-1 is not an even series at all.
We haven't seen that since the Red Sox won the World Series.
Go
Right.
ahead,
Just
Pete.
saying.
I think more than that too is that I think this entire season was just plagued by really terrible umpiring. Everything. It was just one
That might be
bad
part of it.
call after all season. And when I talk to people, people are just sick and tired of watching games and seeing bad call after bad call. People are just walking away from it because it just.
I think people are
sucks.
tired of baseball. I mean, I'm not tired of baseball, but even I didn't watch a lot of baseball this season. And I didn't watch any of the World Series. I
I didn't even know what was going on.
and a lot of people didn't. That's the
A
problem.
lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, where was the marketing for it though? I didn't really see anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So where would you market the games now?
on streaming services, pop-up ads, stuff like that. I mean, it's got to be.
Balls to talk.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you watch this podcast, we were talking about it a little bit.
But
Last
keep
episode.
in mind
That's true.
though, I mean, companies are still spending money on advertising on TV. I actually looked up what the top 10 companies were for on spending advertising money on TV. So you have Procter and Gamble up there, a bunch of pharmaceutical companies,
Of course.
and Progressive Insurance is number 6. Google was number 7.
Yep.
Warner Brothers was number 8.
Is Geico in
Pepsi. Geico is not in there. Not in the
Really?
top 10 anyway.
Okay.
Pepsi was number 9 and Amazon was number 10.
You know where commercials are right now?
Where are commercials?
And Evil Pete knows where commercials are because his girls watch YouTube too. They're on YouTube.
They're on YouTube.
Like the
Yeah.
big YouTubers, right? The ones who have, 10 million in video. Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast has unskippable 2-minute ads.
Ooh,
Unskippable.
full-on commercials
It's a
right there.
full on commercial and
Yeah.
It's almost a show.
Yeah.
high res 4K TV quality commercials for Mr. Beast.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
Procter and Gamble goes in and tells YouTube, "Hey, I want to pay this much for ad space," and that's what they do. They give their highest guys the highest commercials, and it's the same. Absolutely the same. I felt like I was watching television. I was just watching a Mr. Beast video with Jamie last night.
Huh.
And the long ones, like the long form ones, like the 15-minute ones, the 20-minute ones, you get 2 commercials or 3 commercials it's like a show. So it is the same exact experience. They fooled us. TV's back. It is.
Unless you pay YouTube Premium, which that is one concession I'm willing to say, you know what? All right, fine, you got me. I'll pay it, because having that on in the background is like white noise while I work is glorious. Just like, hey, that's all I
I've
can.
heard great things about YouTube Premium and YouTube Red, YouTube Live TV. Like, I think that service in general is probably one of the better ones. Like I said last week, the week before, we were talking about it. It's just the same amount of money for me. I don't get anything extra for,
Right.
subscribing to YouTube versus just right now my basic cable package that I have.
Oh,
So,
YouTube. Yeah. Well, I'm just even
I
talking about.
like YouTube TV.
Do
What'd
you
you
guys
say?
have it?
I have YouTube
Yeah,
TV.
yeah, we have it. And I'll be
Ooh.
honest with you, we tried a lot of different services like the Hulu Live and
Okay.
some of that other stuff, and I really think that YouTube TV is probably as close to
Mhm.
regular cable as you're going to get without being regular cable. And to your point, John, I think you're right on is in terms of like cost effectiveness. I think it's probably just as much as having cable. I'm willing to give that money to YouTube TV, knowing that I'm not giving it to Spectrum.
Shots
You know,
fired.
other Pete really likes that a lot.
I don't even
Hey,
care
where'd
if
our
I'm
internet
paying
go?
more. Yeah, I don't even care if I'm paying more. It's
They're
not going to
listening.
Spectrum. So
Well,
They are.
No, I have YouTube TV as well. Not a
Okay.
sponsor. I do love the unlimited cloud DVR, and I get HBO through YouTube TV as well. The only thing I don't get is I can't seem to watch my Red Sox on
Also
YouTube
Netflix.
TV anymore. I don't need Netflix.
he'll never do it.
I will say though, YouTube TV. When I first got YouTube TV, it was $50 a month. It is not that much anymore,
Yeah, it's more.
and it's starting to become just as expensive as cable. So
Yep.
when I first got it, it wasn't. It was cheaper than cable, and now it's becoming just as expensive when
Yep.
you tie in internet.
Pete, HBO is nerfing our package, by the way.
Oh, I know. When is that happening?
Soon. Soon. We're gonna have to talk about what we're doing. I don't watch Max anymore. Max has turned into garbage.
So tell me
And so
when that
until
happens.
something good.
Because I want to finish. I'm 3 episodes into Chernobyl, and I want to finish that in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos before the plan
Soon.
runs out.
They just sent me an email today. So they're taking away a concurrent stream and also taking away HD. Blah, blah.
What?
Yeah. Well, no, they're taking
Yeah.
away 4K and HDR and Dolby Atmos.
Yes,
and stuff,
4K
yeah.
and Dolby Atmos.
So it's just
That's
going to
what they're
regular
taking away.
HD, which honestly, that's what HBO Max was for a long time anyway.
Mm.
But now it's like, oh, we just started doing everything in 4K, and now you watch Game of Thrones again, and you're like, oh my god, this looks
Well,
amazing. Or
I'm
House
gonna
of the
wait. I'm gonna wait
Dragon.
till something that I'm watching comes back. They haven't had a good show in a minute. So.
Is that something that you can like ramp up and ramp down the premium?
Yeah, we can change a package.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk. And we're out of time.
Maybe all three of us can share.
Maybe.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Why not?
I'd be
It's
willing to go
four-
premium if all three of
Four
us share.
concurrent streams if we get the good one.
There you go.
I just
there
read
you
that too. All right, cool. Beans. Let's do a thing.
Not that we condone that.
No.
We don't share streaming
No,
services. We're
never.
not monsters.
Never.
Napster.
Napster bad.
I'm still salty about Napster 24 years later because Metallica kicked me off
4
it.
years later.
I literally got a sign, Pete, on my computer that said.
Oh, that
"You've
just
been
made me
banned
think
by
of a next
Metallica."
topic. That just made me think of a next topic there.
Do it. Do it.
Next topic, yeah.
Nice. Oh, I thought you were gonna do like next topic. Good.
All right. So
Napster
scooped
bad.
by this, if these balls could talk, back in the end of the 2022-23 season when the Lions and Jared Goff beat Aaron Rodgers the final game of the season and sent him packing for New York. The Lions are kind of good. Yep, those Detroit Lions that haven't won a division title in 3 decades sit atop the NFC North at 6-2 and have a legitimate shot at being the top seed in the NFC. The Lions, 2 losses came from legitimately good teams in the Ravens and the Seahawks. And what else compared to the other contenders for the number 1 seed? The Lions end their season at the number 29th overall in difficulty of schedule, compared to teams like Dallas with number 5. So what's going on in Detroit? Is the combination of Ymir Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown too much to handle? And how do we think the NFC will wrap up?
They finally moved on from Barry Sanders. Congratulations. It's taken them 20 years.
I think it's
I
something in the
miss
water.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Maybe
is that a poke at the Flint, Michigan scandal therapy? Which, by the way, I think that just that case I think just came to an end, and the town of Flint was ultimately was not liable for that whole.
Hey guys, we're
thing.
talking about football.
No, I'm talking about
Football.
water right now.
Hey,
Football.
if
Dan Campbell, man, he wants to bite your knees off. That's what he said. He's totally just turned the culture around in Detroit. They all are buying into what he's doing. Complete opposite of what happened in Vegas, right? Nobody
Yeah.
bought into Josh McDaniels.
Seriously.
Everyone's buying
But
into
what's
Dan Campbell, though.
crazy is how quickly they rebuilt. I mean, really
It
effectively.
really wasn't that quick, though.
But
Yeah, I think
effectively and efficiently, though. I mean, and they're
Yeah.
further ahead than anybody else.
It's been steady, right? Yeah, over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And just kind of under our noses, and all of a sudden it's like, oh. You remember last year at Thanksgiving, I remember the Bills played Detroit, and they barely beat the Lions. Like, the Lions played them tough, and then after that, I think the Lions won like 5 or 6 games in a row after just losing to Buffalo. Like, they're no joke. Even
I mean,
last year-
while I think the Lions, they are a pretty good team. Are they a team that's going to probably go on to the Super Bowl? No. I wouldn't even be surprised if they lose in the very first round of the playoffs this year.
But
Because I
why?
think they're a gimmicky team,
You think so?
and they're not actually a contender, I think.
I could see them squeaking through a playoff win, but it depends. It has to be one of those fluky games, right? Maybe they get a crazy fumble or weird bounce, right? Some kind of freaky.
Guys, I think
tipped
they're better than
interception.
that.
Here's why I think they're going to lose in the wild card round. So they're not going to be the number 1 or the number 2 seed. So they're probably going to have to face a wild card team, which is probably going to come. It's probably going to be like the Cowboys, or the Seahawks. And those are 2 pretty good teams. And you already said, John, they lost the Seahawks already, and they lost to the Ravens. So they've lost to some pretty good teams already. So that's why I think they're like gimmicky team. They haven't really beaten a lot of really good teams. Now, I think it's a step to maybe eventually doing that. But this year,
Well, I mean, let's step back for a second, though. The NFC North is a garbage fire. An absolute garbage fire.
Absolutely.
And so, of the garbage fire teams, they're obviously on top. But when you look at it, they're actually ranked second in the NFC overall. Because the Seahawks are 5-2 and the Eagles are 7-1.
Is that
Yeah,
due
I
to
think the
easy schedule, though?
Niners are eventually going to take over the number
Yeah.
2 or number 1, whatever.
I mean,
it's going to
with
be.
the Niners, and I'm not saying the Niners are in free fall, but the Niners in free fall, they might not win the division because the Seahawks are not in free fall.
They're totally going to win the division. They're the Niners. They're just hitting a little snag here.
But
they're
not
eventually
in
they'll
top of the
win like
division
6
right
games.
now.
But that's now. This
Just wait
season isn't
till-
over now.
Just
I mean,
wait
if
till
the
my
season,
boy
I mean, I know
Deebo
we're in
Samuel comes
halfway,
back.
but like if the season ended today, the Niners aren't in the playoffs.
No,
That's-
but it's not ending today
We got a
though.
lot of football.
I
But I'm
hate
just
that
saying.
argument. If the season ended today, please.
I'm just saying.
If we
they're not.
decided to cut off the half of the year, the season, well, come on, fuck that. No.
But like the Lions aren't going to start. The Lions aren't going to start losing. The Cowboys aren't going to start losing. The Eagles aren't going to start losing.
I think
The
the
Seahawks
Cowboys are
aren't
gonna
going to
start
start losing. I don't think they are.
There's going to be a playoff team, but they're not going to look that good. They're not a contender either.
They do seem better than last year.
Mhm.
I think they're worse than last year.
You think so?
I think so.
I think the offense is better. All right, Pete, what are your thoughts? I see you smirking there with some of these comments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Niners are going all the way to the Super Bowl, and
Okay.
the Cowboys are going to lose the rest of the season.
Well, everybody hates the fucking Cowboys.
This is the
Yeah.
beginning of the end of Mike McCarthy.
I would be very happy if that happened.
The Niners got a bye week this week, and I think next week they're going to be back, and they're just going to smash everybody from here on out.
They'll win like 5-6 games in a row.
Do you know if Deebo Samuel
I don't even know what the
is-
schedule is, and they're gonna probably
Yeah.
win 5-6 games.
How's he
Won't
doing?
even matter.
Is Deebo projected to come back next week, or is he still pretty hurt?
He'll probably be back next week.
So I feel like he's a linchpin to that team. Like,
You know, you guys are talking about a team that's lost 3 in a row and 3 out of 6.
So?
Or 3 out of 8, right?
So
You're also talking about the Cowboys of all teams doing good and being in the playoffs.
Now I'm
This
talking
is
about the
Cowboys.
Lions who have won 4 in a row.
yeah.
and who have they beaten, John?
They've beaten some reasonable teams. Not bad
Reasonable teams. Oh, okay.
I mean, but they don't-
Yeah,
here's
they've
the thing.
beaten everyone
Okay,
in their division
listen,
that you already said
listen.
is a garbage division.
Listen, they only have to
I'm
beat
listening.
them.
Please tell me.
And their division is terrible, and they're going to win 1,000,000 games. They're going to probably end with 4 losses. They're going to make the playoffs, and
Are the
if
20?
it falls this way, they might win the first. I mean, they're not. Nobody's beating the Eagles. I'm not saying anybody's beating the Eagles. Nobody's.
The Eagles are
beating the
beatable.
The Niners can
I
beat
don't
him.
think
Those are
so.
beatable.
So okay, are the Detroit Lions in 2023 the same thing as the Vikings in 2022, where they were like 11-1, but their point differential was like +8, when all the other teams that had 1 or 2 losses were like plus 150.
No. Because the Lions actually have a defense. The Vikings didn't have a defense last year.
That's true. They still beat
but
Buffalo.
They're still a young team.
I just
don't think they're there yet.
They're the third highest scoring team in the NFC too. I just looked it up.
That's great.
I'm just saying, man.
That's great.
I like that they're plucky. I feel it. Yeah, I find myself rooting for the Lions a lot though when I see them.
I root for the Lions too. Lions are probably my favorite NFC team.
I like
they're fun as hell right now.
I do miss Barry Sanders.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you have Jahmyr Gibbs now. You don't need to miss Barry Sanders.
No,
he's no Barry
trust
Sanders.
me.
He's no Barry Sanders.
If you slap Barry Sanders in his prime back onto the Lions right now, they would be the Super Bowl favorite. He was so good. And
who's got the next topic?
Hold on. If anybody has forgotten how amazing Barry Sanders was,
we're out of time, Pete.
Just watch a highlight film. It'll blow your mind. All
right. Who's got the next topic?
Pete does for that talk back.
Juking my way into this next topic, Barry Sanders time. That was completely out of the weird.
Luka Duke juke.
That was out of the dark
Jesus Christ, Pete.
Luka Duke juke. Anyway, so we're going to talk about NBA now. James Harden's nickname is the Beard because of his, yep, you guessed it, his long flowing beard. But recently he's been more known for his toddler-like temper tantrums about being on the 76ers of Philadelphia and tied to their executive Daryl Morey. Now, Harden thinks he deserves a supermax contract after seeing Anthony Davis, Jaylen Brown, and Giannis Antetokounmpo get recently signed for almost $60 million per year. And Morey didn't want to offer him that much because his skills are a little bit on the decline. Now, the former team of Dr. J ultimately was able to pull off a trade with the Clippers that involved 7 total players and 5 draft picks. Now, this move creates about $50 to $60 million in cap space for the team from Philadelphia next year, and gives LA's other basketball team an aging big three that includes Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and now Harden. So everyone, who will benefit more from the James Harden trade, the 76ers or Clippers, and have the supermax contracts in the NBA gotten a little bit out of control?
Yeah, you said how many millions in cap space got freed up?
50 to 60.
Which
is enough to sign someone to a max deal.
I mean,
I don't know. I think James Harden is old. I think he is.
He is old. He's still younger than we are, but he's old.
He's not a $60 million player anymore. He's not Anthony Davis.
He thinks he is.
He's not Giannis. Giannis was the guy that I wanted for the Knicks. I mean, I just don't think James Harden was the guy.
So these are the top 10 guys in terms of overall contract value right now. So the aforementioned Jaylen Brown, who's on the Celtics, he recently got that extension, and it's an average of $57 million per year. Jokic is number 2. Bradley Beal of the now Phoenix Suns.
He's not Jokic.
No. Giannis is number 4. Karl Anthony Towns on the Timberwolves. Devin Booker also on the Suns. Steph Curry. Trae Young on the Hawks. Zach LaVine, of all people, on the Bulls. That was an interesting one. Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, so many better players at the top.
So many better players than James Harden, right?
So many better players. So many, and the NBA is weird. So many more impactful players like Jokic and Giannis and Curry even. I mean, guys that make a difference when they step onto the floor. And I mean, the Sixers were good last year, but they were good last year not only because of Harden. They were good last year because of Embiid.
Embiid was healthy for most of the year.
Yeah.
Harden barely showed up. In fact, they got eliminated by the Celtics in the playoffs, and Harden probably only showed up for maybe 2 of the 7 or 6 games. I think it was a 6-game series.
So I don't get it at all. I mean, the Clippers don't make a lot of really great decisions, so.
Yeah.
I mean, they were looking for somebody on the market. It's like
they have an aging big three.
It's like when you're in the store and you
30s.
know you need jeans, but all the good jeans are sold out, so you go to Macy's.
Do they really have?
These are jeans. I know they'll have jeans.
These jeans are always on my mind. Sorry, I gotta stop before.
How do you go to Hart from this? How did we go from the NBA to Hart?
I don't know.
Makes sense. It makes sense in my head.
I was looking at his like just points per game. I mean, I don't know. Like what's the best metric in basketball to measure like just when a player's in their prime and if they're declining? Like to me, I would guess points per game versus
not
minutes
necessarily
played.
points. I mean, for big guys, it's impact. I mean,
it's
it's like how many blocks they get, how many rebounds they get,
I
how many
suppose.
points they get while they're getting blocks and rebounds.
Because I mean,
like,
there's no one stat. I mean, there's an
Okay.
offensive efficiency kind of thing, which is, how many points you score over 100 possessions.
yeah.
And then they also have, I mean, they just like in hockey, they have a plus minus. I mean, you can definitely take a look at it, how good of a player.
I mean, think of it this way,
compared to
right?
that.
James Harden has been in the league for a while, and the Sixers haven't won a championship in a long
long
time
Yeah.
Since Dr. J.
since Dr. J.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, Harden's not making a difference. Like
No.
guys like Steph Curry comes.
Harden disappears in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Warriors are great, and it's because Steph Curry makes that team really function.
Yeah, and I mean,
know?
he seems like the type of player that he could have a prolonged career because the way he plays is just so much more finesse and about just accuracy versus having to out athlete everybody on the court.
Well, and that
What
kind
type
of career,
of player is
like,
Harden?
just,
I don't
he's
know that
he's
well.
a banger, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
that only
rough and tumble, down low career in the NBA doesn't last a long time.
He's played.
Well,
since
he's a big point guard. That's what he
Right,
is. That's
but-
what he's
Yeah.
become lately.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's played since the 09 season. I just don't see that happening anymore. Like, it looks like his prime ended about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. So I want to throw you guys some numbers. Now, the NBA salary cap is kind of on a sliding scale. They have some funky rules with regards to salary cap. Like you can tend to have a higher salary cap if you acquire people via trade. So it can be anywhere between 136 million and 182.8 million. Now that compared to the NFL salary cap is a lot less. It's at 224.8 million is this year's NFL salary cap. Sounds like a lot, right?
Hmm.
But if you take a look at that per active player, because you have 53 active players on an NFL roster and only 12 on an NBA roster. So on an NFL team, it's $4 million per active player, give or take. Meanwhile, in the NBA, taking it could be anywhere between 11 to 15 million dollars per active player. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a
big
much
difference.
Smaller roster with almost the same size pool.
Which is why you don't see NFL quarterbacks making $60 million, but apparently an NBA player can make $60 million.
Yeah, I can see that. Damn.
I also did more math. So operating budget based off of the salary caps. The salary cap total altogether amounts to $7.2 billion for 32 NFL teams. And in the NBA, now because of the sliding scale, you can't really go off one or the other. So I took the median value.
Okay.
And it's 4.7 billion. A lot different.
I mean,
It's 2.5 billion.
Yeah, but I mean, how many NBA teams? Sorry, I'm not as familiar with.
There are
this.
30. There are 30 NBA
30.
teams.
Okay, so I mean, it's But like you said, I mean, it's fewer players rostered, so the cap doesn't need to be as big as the NFL. I mean,
$60 million though for an NBA
ridiculous.
player. $60 million.
That's a lot.
I mean, you see what Premier League pays though. Premier League pays even more. The highest paid professional athletes play for the Premier League.
That's very true.
Yeah,
And I mean, they have huge rosters. But
very true.
That's impact. Like Messi gets on the pitch, and the teams win because Messi's better at soccer than they are.
You could say the same thing about NBA players, though.
Yeah, but the good ones. I mean, like not James Harden.
Not a lot. Not a lot. No. You're
to
right.
go back
Not
to
not a
James
lot of soccer players are making Messi money, but a
Right.
lot of NBA players are making like Steph Curry money.
Yeah.
Now, Messi's not coming back next year, right?
Who is
Messi?
it?
Well, Messi. Well, he's on.
Messi is.
He's in the U.S. now, right?
Yeah,
He's on
he's
that
in
money.
MLS.
Yeah. So he got.
Yeah, my understanding was he was leaving as soon as his contract was up. Was that only for 1 year, or was that?
No, it was
Oh, okay.
like 3 years, I think.
So is he going to be?
Didn't Miami win? Like Messi showed up and Miami win.
Well, yeah, but they didn't win like the
Yeah.
league.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
would make
They
him
won a
like,
lot of games with him.
If you watched Ted Lasso, sorry, Steph, that would be like the Zava of the MLS.
Eh.
Yes.
And on the Zava reference, I think we're done. Zava!
Zava.
Zava.
Zava likes next topic.
Awesome. I was gonna do it if you didn't.
And so now for something completely different. We reached the time that finally that Disney is releasing its forever postponed MCU movie, The Marvels. The Marvels will be a functional sequel to Captain Marvel and follow her and two other light-powered heroes as they get entangled by the big bad, Kree, an enemy of Captain Marvel, Darben, who, by the way, is the real-life fiance of Loki, Tom Hiddleston. I am very excited to see the next chapter of Phase 5 as well. Anything else that includes Aman Vellani's Kamala Khan. Are we excited for another female-led movie? What do we think is the big bad in Phase? I don't know what I wrote there. Are we excited for another MCU movie?
Very excited.
Good recovery.
It says Big Ian. I don't know what that means, so I'm just gonna leave it.
I am very excited about the Marvels, regardless of whether or not it's a female-led movie. I'm just the whole story of Captain Marvel. I loved Captain Marvel. Like that was, and I think I really. It probably had something to do with the music too, because it was all like 90s music, and I love 90s music, so that might have something to do with it as well.
I enjoy that
but,
movie,
yeah, it was a good movie. So I am really looking forward to the Marvels. It's been a while since I've looked forward to a movie. I might actually go in the theaters. It's been a while since I've actually seen a movie.
Jamie
in
and I
theaters
are
as well.
for sure going.
But definitely looking forward to it. And I mean, it's unfortunate that, and we've talked about this because of the actor strike, you don't see the giant media frenzy that they would do before this. So you've just seen some commercials. By the way, Disney was number 4 on that list of advertising, by the way, which I didn't mention.
Oh yeah, I believe.
And so I've seen a bunch of trailers for the Marvels. I would have seen it, I think, regardless of whether or not they put $1 of advertising into
Well, it looks so good. I mean, like, here's the thing. You take that cast, right? You take Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, but you also take Aman Vellani's... Aman Vellani's the most exciting thing that's happened in the MCU since Tom Holland. I think she's interesting and charismatic and funny.
I still have to watch that.
And Tiona Paris is really great, like really, really great. If you there's a Netflix show you should watch, Mark. It's called They Clone Tyrone, and it's
not interested.
It's awesome.
As soon as you said Netflix,
she's a great actress, and so she's going to play the girl from WandaVision. So she's the girl from WandaVision who is in this show now that she has powers. And I don't know. I mean, it's probably partially because I have a daughter and I love strong female leads now. But I think that the show itself looks incredibly exciting, and I just really am itching.
Eva P, what about you? With being the father of 2 girls, what do you think?
I think it's really exciting. I've always been a huge fan of Kamala Khan. I think the idea of Miss Marvel is really awesome. The TV show I thought was okay. I thought they spent more time talking about her backstory or her family's backstory, not really much about character development. And Kamala Khan herself. But I'm really excited about
Aman Vellani is Kamala Khan. I mean,
oh yeah, big time for sure.
Right.
She reminds me of like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like she's like made for this character. I'm a little like thrown off by like the light powers versus like in the comics where like her limbs just kind of like stretch, kind of like a Stretch Armstrong type thing. But I'm really super excited about how Marvel is going to start tying in other brands. And with that,
younger cast of characters.
Yeah, so my big thing that I'm really super excited for, aside from seeing the Marvels, because I think it's going to be an amazing movie, is the rumored post-credit scene with Kelsey Grammer reprising his role as Beast.
As Beast?
What? Are you serious?
Well,
I am.
That's awesome.
Well, there's supposed to be a revamped X-Men coming out, right?
I am so psyched for X-Men.
Yeah, so I mean, they're talking that's supposed to be more like Phase 6, but with the use of Professor X and the classic 90s X-Men theme music in Multiverse of Madness.
I caught it.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before, but I did definitely tell you guys about it. And so during She-Hulk, one of the Easter eggs was that She-Hulk was like kind of just scrolling her tablet, and there was a story about a clawed man getting into a bar fight.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so
I
they're
mean, it's happening.
they're planting
They said the
seeds
M word.
already.
They said the M word. They said mutants like 4 times
Okay.
during
They
Miss
did.
Marvel.
Yep.
They did.
Very
they're,
cool.
They're no longer in humans, which is great.
Yes,
Well, like you said,
that's
they
good.
had the '90s X-Men theme in Multiverse, right?
Yeah, that
Well,
made me
yeah,
so
yeah.
excited.
I think
Yeah.
that they're dropping Inhumans as a character class, and right, so
Mm.
Inhumans
correct.
are a type of mutation that comes from a thing called Terrigen gas, which was brought to Earth by the Kree. Yada yada yada
Okay,
yada
so
yada.
it's a specific subset of mutants.
It is
you're
a
saying?
specific
Okay.
subset of mutation.
And I wouldn't be too
and-
surprised if you don't even hear about that ever again.
No, they
Kinda like
Probably not.
can't.
Probably
They
not.
can't
It's-
talk
it's-
about it anymore because now Miss Marvel has her powers from the bangle, and it looks like, at least from the trailer, that the bangle has some sort of significance in the new movie, and so we'll probably see more
Guess
of
we'll
that.
find
Sure,
out.
because it looks like whoever this big bad in the Marvels, she has her own bangle.
Yes.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Right, so she
So-
has something that's giving her power.
So,
Yep.
Jamie is like a walking Marvel encyclopedia at this point.
I'm so proud of her.
Pete, are your daughters into
She's
any of the Marvel
John's kid.
movies? And if not, would this be, do you think, a good entry point since it's so like female superhero centric to get them
That's
involved?
a good question.
Yeah. So my girls have always kind of been into Marvel more than Star Wars, which is
okay.
fine. But like, so for like Grace's favorite character has always been Black Widow, and of course, anyone who knows Emma wouldn't be the least bit surprised that her favorite character is the Incredible Hulk.
She is the Incredible Hulk.
So yeah, I mean, they very much love all things Marvel. Like Emma had been waiting for like a month to watch the newest Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with me. So much so
love
that she
those
watched it without
movies.
me.
Oh no.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, no, and I definitely think that this is a great entry point for anyone who hasn't already introduced their children. There really are so many incredible, female characters. Whether we're talking about Shuri or, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel.
Jamie's favorite is
there's-
Scarlet Witch.
there's just
Good
so many
Scarlet
things you
Witch,
can
not bad
do.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
definitely.
There's so many great options here for you to kind of get your kids involved in, which
I
I would highly
think that
recommend.
really
That's cool.
what Disney's really killing right now is they're killing diversity. They're doing such a good job. And
By
so
killing, you mean
Well,
they're
just like-
celebrating and not actually killing it.
yes,
I know
yes.
what
They're
you're
not
doing
actually
a
killing
really
diversity.
good job with having women be in the front, having minorities be in the front, having disabilities be in the front. For a while there, the year they put out Eternals, which was fine, not great, but fine. But
Still haven't seen that one.
a lead character in the Eternals was hearing impaired, and a lead character in the following Hawkeye show,
Hawkeye,
which is
yep.
a Daredevil Echo, is also hearing impaired, and Native American. So
Yeah.
Native American, hearing impaired main character.
And the thing that I like about Marvel too, in terms of diversity, where I think they're a step ahead of everybody else, is they're not forcing it down your throat. It's just like this is just the way life is.
Yeah,
They're not making a point to be like, "Hey, check out how inclusive we are."
right.
It's just like, you know what I mean?
That's a great point.
So that's where I think Marvel is just so much better.
Yeah, and I think that stems, Pete, from and John too talking about this is always been Marvel's shtick. I mean, look at even the X-Men comic in 1963. Like the whole point of it, and even Spider-Man, like it was.
I mean, it's always been about the underdog, 100%.
Right, and about just different kind of people that were always picked on or like defaced for just being not like everybody else, and it kind of celebrated that as well as brought awareness to that fact. I mean, who was that, Rick, that told us Stan Lee once told him that Spider-Man always had a mask because he always had the idea that it
Because it could have been anyone.
could have been anyone under that mask, and it helped the reader, no matter what, like age, skin color, sex, whatever. Like they could put themselves and be like, that could be me under that mask, Well,
They
Such a cool
actually
idea.
talk about that in the most recent. I mean, it totally mentioned in the most recent Spider-Man movie where Jamie Foxx's Electro is just like, oh,
yeah.
I thought you'd be a black kid from Brooklyn. It was
Yeah.
like kind of a call to Miles Morales, but like
Mm.
kind of a call just to that, like that aspect and diversity. And we are
Yeah.
so out of time, so we should move on. But great job, guys.
That was a great, yeah. Love that discussion though. Very cool.
All right, who's got next topic?
You do.
Hello. Do you have a next topic? I do.
Every time you
All
do
right.
that one, I would just want to be like, hello.
All right, it's time.
You know
It's
what,
my
can I jump in
turn.
real quick?
Go ahead. Pete.
No, let me get a turn. I'm actually going to steal something off of John's list that he sent me. Seeing that we're already talking about nerdy stuff, how about we go into my next favorite, or if not my absolute favorite, Star Wars. Let's see. I'm trying to find here where. Okay,
It's number 8.
So
Steal my
after
thunder, why don't
closing
you?
Ahsoka, yeah, I'm just gonna steal this. I'm gonna read it right
That's
off.
fine
Wow,
because
stolen
I was
topic.
gonna talk about a very depressing topic, so I'm very glad you're stealing this. Go ahead.
That was going to be the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
one, though,
let's
so don't
keep
worry
the
about
momentum
it.
going. Let's do some like nerdy stuff here. So after closing on Ahsoka, Star Wars fans are just waiting on next live action title, with Skeleton Crew set for release in January 2024, as well as Acolyte and Andor season 2 later in the year. There's a ton of content coming up. We're aware of the Thrawn movie in the works, as well as a Mandalorian film. Recently, however, there was a leak to the new Rey-led film titled Star Wars: A New Beginning. With the current state of the franchise, especially with the focus on the period between 6 and 7, I don't think we need to know what happens to Rey, especially in a universe without an actual villain. What are your thoughts of the continuation of Rey's story, the current state of the Star Wars universe, and is there such a thing as lightsaber fatigue? And damn you, no, there is no such
There's
thing.
no such
No,
thing.
you can never
I-
have too much to.
I want
lightsaber.
lightsabers to be in real life by now. I want them to happen in like
Yes,
NFL
They are, by
games.
the way. There is a couple of very excellent lightsaber brands that use ballistic plastics from riot shields to build their lightsabers.
Awesome.
And it's awesome. And I want one, but they're like $300. I don't need anything about Rey anymore. That was wrapped up with a nice tight little bow, and there's no villain, and I don't care about any of the characters. Now, what I do need is I need just a ton of this period between 6 and 7 that we're in now. That is incredibly, incredibly interesting, because the rebellion isn't really formed, and what they're talking about right now, if you're watching the shows, is that everybody thinks that everything's done and that everybody changed sides and that everybody's happy again, and that's not the way politics work. I think that this Filioni left universe is doing a really good job talking about like the perspective of the good guy. Like everybody who believed in the Empire and followed the Empire thought they were doing so. Maybe not the Emperor, the Darths, but like the people thought they were doing so for a very good reason. So
Sure.
I mean, that's why the Andor shows are so interesting, because it's just the socio-political stuff of the Star Wars universes I'm really, really liking right now.
I kind of think of like post episode 6, taking down the Empire is sort of akin to Europe post World War One. It's a shit show. Like, okay, yeah, you killed the big empire. Now what? There's no organization. Economies are in absolute collapse. Like, you have so much fallout from this war. So you really could write stories about almost anything. There's so many different factions.
It's what they're talking about right now.
Power and structure. Yeah. So it's rife with like storylines and characters that you can dig up and things and stuff you can take from the books, which were made not canon, and now they're bringing back all the stories from the books anyway. I mean, what was
interesting is
that?
Grand Admiral Thrawn was, and I think we talked about this, you and me, Pete, with our friend Rick. Hi, Rick. That Grand Admiral Thrawn was a fictional line in the book canon that they made non-canon, and then they were like, wait a second, this is great. And so
these are actually well
Filioni
written.
wrote a whole very detailed, depthful line about it. And that's where they're running with. And I think it's awesome. I really, really like the state of the Star Wars universe right now.
See, I kind of disagree with you guys. I think there is more to tell about the Rey story. To me, after episode 9, there were a lot of storylines that seem to like still be able to go on, especially like the number one thing that I thought, like, there's kind of a love triangle between Rey, Finn, and Rose. Like, you could totally build on more storylines based off of that. And the fact that you guys think that there's no more enemies, I mean, yes, there kind of isn't, but that doesn't mean they could just easily spawn some other ones. I mean, hell, that's what happens all the time. Is like all of a sudden you have all these new enemies. Like Rey, remember, she's a descendant of Palpatine, right? Maybe all of a sudden, maybe she goes to the dark side. There's lots of possibilities that you could go with Rey.
So,
I mean, that would be super dumb, though, and I would dislike that.
What do you mean it was super dumb? You're super
if Rey
dumb.
was just all of a sudden a Sith, like, what the fuck is that about?
I have a
just like with no backstory at all.
I have a slight confession.
There'd be some story you would build to it.
Right. I have a confession to make.
I've got a couple takes on a couple.
Well,
things.
no, Pete's talking. We'll let good Pete finish, and then evil Pete can continue.
I'll be quick, Pete. Don't worry.
Evil Pete doing evil Pete things.
It's all good.
Good Pete, evil Pete, fight.
My confession is that I still have yet to watch episode 9.
They are not worth watching, Pete. You're not missing anything. It was a bad
really
movie.
Not that bad.
It was bad.
I mean, ever since like
you can watch it for the sake of watching it, but you're not.
ever
gonna
since
watch.
You got better shit to do.
No, do you know how that whole thing ended to me was when somebody made a re-edit of episode 8 and Princess Leia to a Led Zeppelin song went light speed herself with the Force and cut through all the Star Destroyers. I'm like, oh, that's it. And she blew up all the bad guys. We're done.
And that's not necessarily how that happened, but
that's how I remember. Okay, sorry, Pete. Go ahead. I've said my piece.
All right, Pete, go. Good, evil Pete, go.
Excellent. So I've got one or two thoughts on how they should kind of move forward with Star Wars. One of the things is there are a lot of characters or references that they're making making connections to from the expanded universe, kind of like Grand Admiral Thrawn. That was never really talked about. It wasn't really canon, but now we're kind of making it canon. Ahsoka was part of like this, cartoon series, but now all of a sudden she's canon. She's like sort of Anakin's apprentice that nobody ever heard of before. So I almost feel like if they're going to do that, they should almost do like a new show that kind of runs parallel to like the Ahsoka or even like the Clone Wars, where they talk about characters that they've only mentioned, like Quinlan Vos, which was a character that is from the books that got brought up in the Ben Kenobi TV series, and tie that into Asajj Ventress, who just got brought up in the Ahsoka TV show when they're referencing the planet of Dathomir. The sisters, the witches. So I almost feel like they should almost do like a show that runs parallel at the same timeline as this and kind of
It's
build
called
off
Rebels,
of that.
Pete.
Whatever.
There were four seasons. There were 4 seasons of it, and it was definitely canon.
Well, was that?
But I'm talking about like live action.
Yeah, but I mean, they already did it.
I mean, are there stories that Rebels maybe didn't cover that you could explore with those characters in a live action setting?
Here's the thing, right? Dave Filoni was us.
I mean, they didn't
right?
talk about Quinlan Vos in Rebels, did they?
I didn't see all of Rebels, honestly, but
Okay.
Dave Filoni was us, right? He was a guy who loved Star Wars, who got into filmmaking and movie making, and he actually he wrote Ahsoka with George Lucas on the Lucas Ranch. I've said this on the show before. And so
cool.
Dave Filoni has EP credits of all of Clone Wars and all of Rebels, as well as Bad Batch. And he's the guy with Jon Favreau who is writing all the new live action stuff. And so it makes sense that all the new stuff is more of a Dave Filoni style universe. Essentially, Ahsoka is Rebels season 5. Pretty much straight up. And actually, Ahsoka did so well that I read that Clone Wars live action just got greenlit. And so Dave Filoni has a script that he wrote that is already that. And
well, there you go. I mean, that might cover a lot of what Pete was talking about right there.
I think that's what it's going to do. And so Hayden Christensen playing Anakin because he's Hayden Christensen.
Sure.
But Ariana Greenblatt, who is kind of a famous 18, 19-year-old who played Ahsoka in some flashback scenes in Ahsoka when she was young, playing Ahsoka in the Clone Wars period. And I think they'll cover a lot of that stuff, but it's stuff that they have already covered. They've covered a lot of the relationship with the Night Sisters, a lot of the relationship with Dathomir and Darth Maul, a lot of Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan being a big part of the new series is canon centric. But what I was talking about before is I think that it's doing a really good job covering the period between 6 and 7. Because so that period, Rey is a child of the clone of Palpatine. And so she is 20 something in episode 7. And so figure that's like a 50-year time span because her parents had her and abandoned her. And so that 50 years, I think, is probably the most interesting 50 years besides the High Republic time, which they're going to talk about in Acolyte, which is way, way before when there was a million Jedi. I think it's doing great, but I don't need any more Rey.
No?
Straight up. No. And we're out of time.
All right. How do you want to proceed?
You just 2 in a row, because that was 2 in a row for me, technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of awesome. I want to make a soundbite for that of like, tongue topic steal. Like,
but I have to go forward to get it. I'm never gonna find it.
That's
such
amazing.
A jerk.
Sorry.
Get the next topic now.
I'll do it again someday.
I'll do it again, John.
Get the next topic now.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to bum everyone out now. So we're going to start this topic by apologizing to the community north of me in Lewiston, Maine, that recently fell victim to a mass shooting. Now, the Gun Violence Archive categorizes a mass shooting as an incident with a minimum of 4 victims shot. And while you hope it won't affect your community, we've seen 587 recorded mass shootings this year in 43 states and Washington, D.C. Now, news of how this could have been prevented has come about recently, including the suspected shooter failing a mental health evaluation at an Army training facility, getting alleged treatment at a facility for 2 weeks, and having the police perform a wellness check at this alleged shooter's home. Now, no matter which side of the aisle you are, a majority of the American public, and in fact, most polls say about 6 in 10 people, believe that more needs to be done to prevent mass shootings. So everyone, what can we learn from the missed warning signs of the main mass shooting suspect?
And all the same shit that we should have learned from the other fucking 50.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over again. It's just a different shooter.
It's the same thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what I don't get. Like, I understand the whole, you don't want to lose your guns, but something has to change, right?
Yeah. At the very least, even enforcing what's even on the books already, which that isn't even being done.
So, and actually, the insight is very interesting. I've never shot a weapon before this weekend.
Until
I talked
this
about earlier in
past
the
weekend.
show. So I shot an AR-15, a 9mm AR-15. I didn't really, besides hearing about them in shows, I was a little appalled at how easy it was to be accurate.
It's fun to shoot.
And it's easy to shoot.
Easy.
It's fun and easy to shoot.
Yeah.
Easy. There was almost nothing to it.
Should anyone have it outside of that controlled environment, though?
No.
I mean,
No,
never.
Never.
That's what makes it so dangerous. I felt the same way the first time I shot one.
What is
Alaska.
the need?
Like,
what is
wow,
the
this
need for the general public to have automatic rifles? That's what I don't understand.
There is none. Because
the argument is, well, the bad guys have it, so I need that to.
Let's talk about the people who have some government fears. The government's going to come get you if you don't have your guns. We're colonial days, and we're going to fight people off. You're not.
Yeah,
that is generally why the Second Amendment came about, right? Because they were afraid.
It has gone too far.
Yeah, it's also not 1776 anymore.
And if a militarized government wanted to take your guns, they would just come and kill you and take your guns.
But I mean, and the thing is, the same people that are talking about they're coming for my guns, are the same people that are sitting on the Capitol with these firearms and flak jackets and everything else.
But
you are the bad guys. What don't you understand?
I'd like to not get distracted though
from
this, which I think is maybe a separate issue from what Mark originally brought up. And the real actual problem is that there are a lot of ill people in the world, and it is too easy to get guns. And ill people should not have guns.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, most sane folk aren't going to kill a bunch of people in a fit of sadness or a fit of rage or a fit of agony. Like, most sane people aren't going to do that. And so the real issue in America is mental health. We have a mental health epidemic in America. There's a lot of sick people and a lot of sad people, and they don't have a place to go.
Yeah. And on top of that, a much more robust gun regulation and control system for people that have legitimate diagnoses that could be considered a threat or dangerous. I mean,
there is no way that Lewiston should have happened. I mean, there's no way that any of them should have happened. There's no way that a crazy person from a rich family should have went into an elementary school and killed a bunch of children, but it happened. And I mean, that's so fucked up when you think about it, because it was avoidable, and they've all been avoidable. Oh, now I'm fired up, Mark.
And there are certain checks and balances within the system. Now, I guess he did try to get a silencer, and he was denied ultimately because he truthfully answered that he had some kind of a mental health episode. And so the owner of the gun shop said, "I can't sell this to you right now." So it's nice to see that someone kind of did their job, but he already had the guns.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right. So let me ask you a question, though, Mark. Why does a silencer for an assault rifle even exist? For public purchase,
right, for military operations.
That in and of itself is the problem. Like,
so the argument for that is you might need it for hunting.
Oh, I guess.
Because if you wanted to keep it,
the machine gun. Okay.
But why do you need a machine gun? Why do you need a machine gun for hunting? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
30 deer? Clearly.
Right. Yeah. Unless you love eating bullet-ridden deer.
Yeah.
It's just I see what you mean.
I mean,
it's out of control.
It's out of control, and the people that are afraid to get their guns taken away from them, or like I'm mentally stable. It's like, that's great. It's not for the people that are mentally stable. It's for the people that aren't mentally stable.
It's not for the responsible.
Don't you feel that you should feel a little bit more proud that you own a gun because you had to go through all of these hurdles to get it?
And I mean, you're talking too. You mentioned it yourself, right? It was like a 6 out of 10 at least, if not more, across the aisle politically. For people polled, all agree way more needs to be done. And I mean, sure, the degree of that may vary amongst those people, but at least to improve what we have, does that mean we're not being represented in our own government for that opinion?
The status quo is just not good enough anymore. There needs to be some change, and you need to acknowledge that there needs to be a change.
Sure, but
because a lot of these things just seem preventable.
And they are prevented, not preventable, but prevented in every other country in the world except for us.
I think another thing with this with what happened in Maine specifically is there seems to be a lack of accountability.
Yeah.
Because you had so the army, whatever like that, they told him no, like he's hearing voices. All right, the army should have maybe they chased you something, and they kind of let him go, or they gave him like some kind of rating, and they just pushed him off this mental facility. The mental health facility had him for 2 weeks. Did they do anything? Who the hell knows? You had the police do a wellness check. They went home. Nobody was home. They just didn't even go at it. There was just a serious lack of accountability with this whole situation. It seems everyone's just like wanted to do the bare minimum of their job. That's what it seems like to me. I would love to have someone prove me wrong about this.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, could very well be true.
I mean, the problem too is that because mental health is a serious problem in this country, there are too many people who are ill and not enough workers who are trained to deal with them. So most people who are responding to those calls. I mean, so Melanie, for many moons was a state-funded mental health worker for counties up here in upstate New York. And she would talk about CPS calls, like legitimate ones that she should make, that wouldn't be listened to because they just weren't serious enough. And you just think about that for a second, right? They're kids who have trouble at their houses that are not getting beaten badly enough or not getting abused badly enough to actually get the care that they need. And I mean, it's the same fucking problem that there's just too many crazy people. And so it just, the laws have to change significantly, and the view of mental health in this country needs to change significantly, or we're never going to get anywhere. And we're out of time.
And I don't think you're ever going to see the laws in this country change as long as they allow politicians to take money from these organizations.
I agree. By the way,
Oh yeah.
politics shouldn't be as profitable as it is. And we just talked about this last
I've
week.
said there's only one thing I think that's going to make the politicians change. John has yelled at me for saying this before, so I won't say it again. But I think that's the only way it's going to change.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say that on the radio. We get reported.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. What?
It was an illusion.
I'm not
And it
wrong.
almost
It was an
I'm not
It
wrong.
was alluding to.
And by the way,
a
that
previous
almost
thing.
happened. And they covered it on the morning show this past season. So
They did. I actually
they-
liked that show.
they
Great
did.
show.
That morning, it's a good show. And
It's
also
a really
we're
good
done.
show. That's a really good show.
Tiona
Alright, so you want me
Paris,
to take
by the
another
way.
one?
Tiona Paris,
Yeah,
by
go
the
for
way, on the morning show.
All right, who's got next topic?
Pete does.
Yeah, that is next topic in Pete language.
All right, so we got fired up by the last topic, and we might get fired up by this one too because it might be the most polarizing topic I've ever introduced. Now,
Taylor
with
Swift?
Halloween now behind us, we've been seeing more and more evidence that the holiday season starts earlier and earlier each year now. A lot of retail stores have already started decorating, and Christmas displays are up. Now,
Kohl's is in full retail mode.
the self-proclaimed Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey, even did an Instagram post where she gets thawed from ice and is ready to celebrate Christmas in an in an effort to promote her upcoming tour. It's actually kind of funny. I definitely recommend
I
people
need to
go
see
through
that.
So everyone, when is it okay to start playing Christmas music?
Black Friday.
Black. Yeah.
Black
I don't
Friday.
I don't disagree. That's about our schedule. We were decorating for a long time the week before Christmas.
Oh, hold on.
Or the week
John,
after.
repeat,
John,
John,
start-
John,
start
repeat
that
that.
again.
The week after
Repeat that.
Thanksgiving. So for a long time, we were decorating the week after Thanksgiving, which I think is a good week to decorate. So like that Black Friday period. I turned the game off too, by the way. Because Jamie loves Christmas and we love Christmas, we started the week before, which I think still is acceptable, even though Stephanie yells at us for that. But before that feels like a lot, honestly. Kohl's was ready for Halloween or for Christmas before Halloween even happened.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's
That's
disgusting.
insane, man.
Well, they don't
Um,
really sell Halloween stuff, right?
I guess.
Right.
Right. You're overlapping too many holidays.
We're just skipping 2 months. Like
Yeah.
you just keep wanting more months of Christmas sales.
I know.
I mean,
We're gonna start having Christmas in August soon.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I don't think that it is controllable, and I think that people really like Christmas, and I don't even think people care that much.
Well, people in the retail world, they just want to get that upper hand, right? So they want to be
guess.
earlier than their competitors.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going on for sure.
People aren't making.
That's why now we have Black Friday starting at like what 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving night.
People
Well,
aren't.
it's just a month of Black Fridays. Like I've already seen early Black Friday sales.
People don't have any more spending power than they had before. If anything, less compared to 5-10
Oh my
years
god,
ago.
what just happened to the game?
Oh shit! Somebody got hurt. I don't know. We
should
paused our
just-
regularly scheduled topic here to see what's
We
going
should
on.
just keep talking about the topic though, because the timer's counting and it's 11
Okay.
o'clock.
Your timer's counting.
All right.
Anyway,
And
Pete,
and
what
we're
do you start doing
professionals.
for Christmas stuff?
So we a disclaimer this year, we may need to make an exception and decorate early. Normally we would do Thanksgiving stuff.
Because
and
you probably won't be when
Right.
something happens.
usually it's like the first weekend in December, but we may need to get stuff up now because there won't be any time to do it later. So I apologize. I'm now a part of that whole
Evil
problem.
Pete, what about you?
Right after Thanksgiving, I would say first week
Yeah.
of December.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Ready to roll. And then we'll probably keep it up until, the first weekend of January, and then everything gets packed up and put away.
Oh, like clockwork.
Myself personally, I don't have any kind of date that I have to start decorating for Christmas and I want to start listening to Christmas music. There have been years where I don't want to listen to a Christmas song until Christmas Eve. There have been years that's happened.
Yeah, I've been there.
And with regards to decorating for Christmas, there's been some years I don't decorate for Christmas until the week of Christmas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I personally, it depends on my mood, I guess.
Yeah, but I think that sort of boils it down there and explains it right there. It's a personal decision. Everybody's in a different
It's
situation.
never too early for Mariah Carey.
That's true.
So Newsweek did a poll of the top 10 most played Christmas songs. Can you guys guess any of them? What do you think is number one?
Oh, well,
Maybe It's Cold Outside.
No, it's not even on the list.
What?
because it got canceled.
I mean, that's a rape song. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm bringing it back.
That's how you seduce Megan.
Oh,
It's like,
man.
well, baby, it's cold outside.
And then she's like, "What's in this drink?" You're like, "Don't think about it."
Does this Coca-Cola smell like chloroform?
All right, so we were talking about Mariah Carey. Where do you think All I Want for Christmas Is You falls in the top five?
five.
That's got to be number one.
Number three.
Number three.
Really?
Oh, where
Wow.
the famous Alvin and the Chipmunks one.
Not on the
not
list.
on the list.
This was according to Newsweek, which I don't agree with all of them. Like, there's a
Like,
Justin
well,
Bieber song on here.
No.
Like, I don't agree
the
with
list
that
is
at all.
bogus.
Number 6 is "Do You Want to Build a Snowman" by Kristen Bell,
Okay, I mean,
which I don't think is a Christmas song.
all time.
I don't
No,
think
yeah,
it's a
it's a
Christmas
cold. It's a winter song.
There's a
Yeah.
Pentatonic song on here too.
I love
they
that
had-
Pentatonix Christmas album.
They
Well, for a while they were just making Christmas albums.
But
Actually, they were
according-
making so many Christmas albums, by the way, that their bassist, who is Jewish, quit because he's like,
he's like, dude, can we do a Jewish song? And they were like,
they're like,
"Do
no,
we really
nobody
make
buys
so much money?
Jewish
to your-
songs.
Yeah, he's like, okay, bye.
Riddle. That's the only one I know. Anyway, so number 1 for most played Christmas song, "White Christmas" by Bing Crosby.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Number 2,
That's-
Silent Night by Bing Crosby.
Well, I mean,
Number
Silent
3,
Night,
we already said.
yeah, but Silent Night
Yep.
predates Bing Crosby by a lot.
Number 3, "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey, as we already said. Number 4, Gene Autry, "Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer."
Okay. Anything
And
from
that's all I want to say off this list.
anything from Kelly Clarkson? She had a pretty good Christmas album.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Probably not big
Go
enough.
Clarkson!
TSO made it on here. TSO made it number 7.
I just think about that episode of The Office where Dwight's like, "What? You guys don't know
Yeah, I
Christmas?
know.
This is Christmas." Which is just metal version of Carol of the Bells.
All right. We are out of time, gentlemen. And I believe this is the final topic, Mark.
It's the final topic.
Wow. Good sustain on that.
Fucking love you
I
guys.
could have done longer.
Pete, for a while I tried to
That's what
stop
she-
them from doing that, and now I just give up.
No, it's amazing.
What's going to happen?
So, clearly, after listening to our podcast, the Biden administration has issued a new executive order on artificial intelligence.
We're going to talk nothing but politics now
course.
on this show.
This is the U.S. government's first action of its kind. The bullet points of the deal are requiring new safety and security standards for AI, including requiring companies to share safety testing with the government. As well, the law will attempt to protect a consumer privacy, support workers, and promote innovation and competition amongst a host of other things. According to them, this order represents the strongest set of actions any government in the world has ever taken on AI safety, security, and trust. But I wonder if it has any teeth.
That's a good voice.
That was good.
Thank you. And how it will be enforced. Do we think this is a good first step by the U.S. government? And do we think it will actually force any change?
I think it's a good initial step, but will it actually be able to enforce it? Probably not.
Yeah.
Did you hear why an executive order came about?
Well, from our
don't you tell
podcast,
me, Mark?
clearly.
That's clearly.
Yes, clearly.
Right.
But there was another reason why it happened. There was a private screening of the latest Mission Impossible movie.
Okay.
And because they're like the big villain in Mission Impossible is AI, I guess
Oh.
Biden got spooked, and he's like, "I think I need to sign this as executive order."
Is that really
amazing.
what happened? Because
that is
sounds like,
that is a truth fact.
Yeah.
that sounds like fake news, Mark.
I don't think
Hey,
it is fake news.
I will
Was he just scared of
totally
Rami Malek's
believe
mask?
it. I totally
I mean,
believe it.
I will
It's
say,
like, oh, that
Everybody
young
take
man.
Carlson.
yes.
So I've heard it on multiple news outlets, so that's why I think it's true. I haven't heard it on TMZ, but we'll see. Now, I have said this before, and I want to say it again. With all the technology that's happening on, especially with deep fakes, there needs to be some kind of regulation or like a Search General's warning about this is not a real video or something like that. Like, because people are going to want to they're going to believe essentially they already believe a lot of things on the internet that's wrong. So of course they're going to believe some of these deep fakes are wrong as well.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, some of these deep fakes are accurate when they're really not.
I feel like so many are going to slip through the cracks that, like, when you do catch somebody, it's got to be a severe penalty.
It won't be because they don't they don't want to do that.
Also, nobody's going to catch anybody because it's impossible.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so hard.
It's not impossible, but it's going to be hard.
It's so hard to catch it. So when you finally do, it's like, if it's not something that's pretty strict or severe, then everyone's just going to laugh at it and just keep doing stuff anyway because they're like, we're never going to get caught. And if we do, who cares? It's a slap on the wrist. So I'd like to see some kind of major, especially in the acting and film industry. My God.
I like the thoughts that are surrounding this, and not only about just like the safety, because the safety and security obviously is important, but I think that the things that the government are going to really need to stay up on, especially as the technology advances, is worker protection. I think worker protection is very, very important. And I think that just like no antitrust, I think that all of the companies are going to need to really be able to talk to each other and kind of build together so that we can create something that can actually help help the country, help the race, help us advance, and not just like use technology to stymie us more and more and more.
Yeah. And I mean, to Mark's point too, I forget, you had said some real life example a minute ago in my mind, just blank, but I was just reading something today about Nicolas Cage, apparently, like, filmed at most a quick thing for I think it was The Flash, right, where they were like doing multiple universes, and he's like, yeah, I just stood there in my weird Nicolas Cage Superman suit and just didn't do anything. I just acted with my eyes for like 5 seconds of footage. And somehow they turned that into me fighting a giant CG spider, and he's like, I didn't do any of that. So he's like, what
Side
the hell?
note, those scenes though, they look like shit, and they look clearly fake.
Yeah, he did acknowledge it was probably
that was
just
definitely
CG.
the worst part, and I enjoyed that movie.
Right.
That was definitely the worst part of that movie.
I just love that it's like
the stuff at the end.
When you have a major build actor that goes in there for something and thinks he's filming something, and then you see the movie and it's what ends up on screen is completely different than what he filmed. But it's
that's one of the reasons why the actors are on strike, right? That's one of the reasons.
What I'm really concerned about for that is that I've read stories now about the people in the extras portion of the Screen Actors Guild walking onto set and getting their bodies scanned and then being asked to leave.
Yeah, that's the main
thing.
And
just imagine.
Yeah.
And just imagine. I mean, you probably.
Which, by the way, sounds totally illegal.
Totally illegal. Right.
Totally illegal.
Are there specific provisions in this legislation that cover that?
I'm sure, because it falls under worker protection.
I don't believe that specifically it's going to cover.
See, you pull
I think
that off.
That's the kind of thing that needs to be protected, because even right now, I am sure that people are taking 10 actors and making an army of 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. Because clearly you can't put 10,000 people in a field, but sometimes you need to in a movie. Yeah. And so how many people do you repeat to make it look believable? Not that many, honestly.
They did that in the Johnny Depp version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? They had one person as an Oompa Loompa, and they just repeated him like 10,000 times.
Yeah, I guess it's an old trick, but the problem is it's getting easier and easier to do and more convenient, and it looks better now than it ever did. John,
I don't know why that's what I thought of as the example in top of my head.
John, you did pause we got a delay on or 10,000, so you gotta go or 10,000.
It's too late.
Well, it's too late. You gotta do it right away.
I try. Yeah. You were speaking well.
That's all right.
I honestly think you could. We got the whole word. It was just segmented there by a.
It's fine. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Everybody's sleeping now too, and I turned the game off.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
It's actually a good game. 20-16 Steelers right now.
Will Levis is hanging in there. Yeah, he's only down by 4 with 56 seconds.
He needs to throw a fucking touchdown.
That was not a touchdown though. Never mind. That was a bad fucking throw. Never mind.
It's all right though, because the league that I have a chance in, Derrick Henry has like 20 points. So.
Oh, he did. He rushed for a touchdown
So
today.
there you go.
He did.
All right, are we ready?
Yep. Let's do it. It was a good show, everybody.
So that has been our 10 topics. We'd like to thank our guests for joining us this week. Thank you, Evil Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks for having me.
Please subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and follow us on our socials at If These Balls Pod on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Our website is www.iftheseballscouldstalkpod.com. This is Mark Pesci, and from my partner John Campani and producer Pete Steffen, that's what we feel they would say if these balls could talk.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Till next time.
If these balls